Good morning, Anna. How are you?
Good, thank you. How about yourself?
I am doing well, and I'm just happy to have you here on Confidence Conversations.
Same, I'm glad to be here.
Well, before we dive in, because we have a lot of really fun and juicy things to talk about, I want to know, what does confidence mean to you?
Oh, confidence to me means doing things even when you're scared to do them, being able to find what's important to you and dig deep and continue even if society's telling you no or your brain is telling you no, and trusting your gut and going for it.
That's powerful. And I think it's so important for people to hear that, because oftentimes we think confidence are these like outer displays, but really it's fundamental trust in a thing. So being able to feel your gut, feel what your body is telling you, and then go on that, I think is a really powerful thing to do. And while we navigate, we have to like take everything in, but at the same time, we need to understand, all right, this is what the world says, but this is what I need to do for myself.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's for me, it's the fake it till you make it, but with substance behind it, not being someone you're not, being authentically you. And sometimes you just have to pretend that you're at that place and keep
Yeah,
going.
no, for sure, 100%. So I want to talk about all of the work that you do and dive in. You are the founder of the Prickly Mermaid, and you know a thing or two about a thing or two, including the fact that we live in a world where sex sells. And then on the other hand, a world where sex is weaponized and demonized. If you like sex, or you're called a number of names, or people have different perceptions about you, especially if you are a woman. So, how can we begin to actually reclaim our sexual identities and discover sex and ourselves in a way that isn't taboo?
Yeah, because there are so many outside sources telling you such conflicting things. Like you said, women are expected to be ready for sex at a time, and this is how you keep your partner. And I mean, as we see, people older men who keep on dating younger and younger women, like there is sex is a big part of sex appeal and sex appearance and misconceptions. And then on the other hand, if you do enjoy sex too much, that is not okay either. So women are caught in a really hard spot. So I think a lot of it has to start internally. It has to start at a lower level until you can find out what your truth is, what your needs are, how you feel about sex. Do you like it? Do you not like it? How often? In what way? Before you can start to externalize it a little bit. Some people have the strength to externalize it first, but it's hard to do if you're not if you don't have friends that support it, if you don't have family that supports it, if you have a strong religious background. There's a lot of external forces that are working against you.
Yeah. And those external forces are real, whether it's the way that we were raised in our core and fundamental beliefs, what we were taught and molded to believe,
Yeah.
or it's that we've gone through some sort of traumatic experience that we shouldn't have at a very young age, that really shapes and jades the way that we view sex and view our bodies, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe even have shame associated with that. So how do we kind of navigate that trauma, or exist in a safe space from there to be able to even want to embark on that journey?
A good therapist is always very helpful to help work through some of those things. I was just talking with my therapist about trauma, and she asked me if I'd had any traumas. And I was like, well, like your run-of-the-mill sexual traumas. Like, I have been kissed by strangers. I have been groped. And then they're not run-of-the-mill, right? They are a big deal, but we dismiss them. So working through that with a therapist, there are great resources out there. The book Come As You Are by Emily Nagoski is a great resource. My Body's Not an Apology is another great one. There are some really good resources. And then working with practitioners who have a sex positive view, which just means that they don't reinforce that shame around sex. Whatever you like, however you like it, it's fine. Let's figure out a way to make this work. And unfortunately, not a lot of providers are great at it. And not a lot of providers have trauma-informed care. So they are re-triggering things that may have happened to you, or just re-trigger things that have happened in the medical world. A lot of my patients have had some very intense medical trauma that is continually dismissed and perpetrated by the providers that are supposed to be helping them. So it takes work, unfortunately, to find good help.
Yeah, I think though that the providers and those individuals who are there to help us, like having them be informed is so key, because it can be the subtlest of things, whether it's a look in response to a question that they've asked. People can feel that energy. And so I think that like our practitioners have to be very in tune with what they're doing and how they're providing care, because sometimes it's not intentional, but it could be just as hurtful.
Yeah, and our unfortunately medical system isn't set up for providers to take time. So even if they have the best of intentions, they have a 10 or 15-minute appointment at most to be able to get through. So whereas they should be stopping every way and asking consent. Can I touch your legs? Can you scooch down? Are you okay if I do this? Here's what I'm going to do. A lot of that gets missed. And I don't think it's intentional. I think it's because of their own limitations, and they should still be doing it. It needs to be there. People need to be able to say, yes, you can touch my body. No, you cannot. This hurts. Stop. And there isn't space for that.
So tell me about your own journey to sexual freedom and liberation, and your journey of self-love for your own body and the skin that you're in.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I could say that I was there completely, and I'm not. I have my own things that come up, my own shame around things. I have a lot of body shame, which is frustrating because my brain tells me not to, and it's still there. So I do a lot of work around, some of the great advice is to look in the mirror and find one thing that you find beautiful about yourself every day. And you just keep on teaching your brain that you are beautiful, and that can start to override everything you've been taught that you're not. With sex, I am super fortunate that I have a really great partner who does not add struggle to my work around it. Is super supportive, is very into my body and the way that it is. And so that's allowed me some space to work through things. A lot of it's retrospective work. I realized just recently that I, up until the past couple of years of my life, would go along with whatever my partners were wanting. And at the time it was dating with men. So I only had sex when they wanted to, in the way that they wanted to. And I am a people pleaser. So I went along with it, and not in a way where assault was happening, fortunately. But that has shifted. I now am able to say what I want and when I want it and how I want it. And it's still hard. It still takes some effort. It's not natural, but I have the space for it.
No, kudos to you for being able to do that though, because that's huge. And I don't think we give ourselves credit for like minor changes that people don't see, but that are huge. They are huge. So how can we help others do that? Like, are there any tips that you've had along your journey to be able to be more vocal about your wants and needs?
Yeah, I would start outside of sex. I would start it in your everyday life. Do you want to go out with friends that night? Are you just not feeling it anymore? Somebody asks you what you want for dinner. Don't say, oh, whatever you want. Say what you want for dinner, and build your trust and your confidence in yourself in a safer space that you can know what you want and say what you want. And then that can more easily translate into intimacy. Another good route is with masturbation or self-touch. That's a really good way to find out what you like and how you like it without someone else messing up that dynamic or giving you, focusing on their pleasure or worried what they're thinking. And then you can use those skills to work with, hopefully, a good partner with communication that will respect and listen to what you want and need. And, boundaries are only ones that we set with ourselves. So if someone's not respecting that, it's up to you to then figure out what the consequence, remove yourself from the situation, put limits around it. But
yeah, so we can set the boundaries, right? But then we have to vocalize them, and then we have to uphold them, which are two completely separate things. Right?
Yeah, because boundaries unfortunately are not based on what other people do. They are only on your side. We can't make someone follow our boundaries or respect our boundaries. you decide what happens if they don't follow them.
Yeah.
Um,
So switching gears a little bit, I want to
Mhm.
talk about the work that you do on an everyday basis at the Prickly Mermaid. And as a Chinese medicine practitioner, can you help us understand sort of how Eastern medicine and methodologies are different from Western medicine, or what people here in the US may be accustomed to?
Yeah, it is. It is a slower medicine, but it's a longer lasting medicine. So, we are used to going to a doctor and getting a pill, and it very quickly resolves what's going on. It can unfortunately often lead to other things, and it's not resolving the problem. It's masking it in a way. Medications can be great, and I'm not against them, and they're not addressing why that happened in the first place, which often leads to a cascade of other issues. So this medicine really looks at the root cause of why it's happening, where it's coming from. Because most of what we're seeing, if people are having poor digestion or poor sleep, or their libido has shifted, or sex is painful, those are coming from some other place. So finding out why it's happening is pretty important.
Yeah.
People can get impatient with it because it is slower. You're going to need a few treatments to get things to shift. But then once they do, your body likes to hang out wherever it's been existing, whether or not that's a healthy state. And acupuncture and herbs will get your body into a healthy state. And then your body learns that's what balance is, and it'll maintain it on its own. Things like illness or extreme stress can throw you back out. But if you've had that a period of time in healthy balance, you'll be able to get back to it, either with my help or with, rest and easy foods and things like that. But so it's a longer lasting change.
Yeah, and I think that it's so important to go to the root of things, because if you don't grab it by the root, it can still grow if given water and everything else it needs to grow. So let's determine what the real issue is and resolve it from there. I think that's a really powerful piece of your practice.
Yeah, and our bodies are smart. They're here to protect us. Unfortunately, sometimes it protects us in a way that's going to cause other issues, but it's not a bad thing that your body has developed these coping skills. And you can thank your body and appreciate it and say, I have got this now. Here are some new skills. Because the longer you let it go, the more it's going to cascade.
And one of the things that you're able to help people do is identify and revitalize some of the issues that they are having related to their sense of pleasure or desire to be pleased. So can you tell us a bit about how that works for you?
Yeah. First and foremost, a lot of what happens in here is education around what normal is, because there's a really wide range of normal. Someone who has always had a low libido, that is their normal level, and that is perfectly okay. If you want to increase the libido, there are ways to do that, but it's not that there's something wrong with you. The problem happens is when you've had a switch from what your normal is. So if your libido skyrockets or your libido plummets out of your norm, then those are things that we can address and work on and get you back. And some of that is through treatments. Some of that is through what you can do at home. This is medicine where patients have a lot of self-responsibility. I am not magic. It's not going to work without some changes on your side. So it's a lot of addressing what is causing stress and the foods that you're eating and how you're eating them and what your routines are, and looking at the whole person rather than just the one problem.
Yeah. And I know that one of the core pillars of your offerings, in addition to that educational piece, is using herbs as healing. So how do you use the herbs? And I want to know specifically, how can herbs be used to support vaginal health?
Vaginal health is a broad statement, so it kind of depends on what you're looking at.
Okay.
But herbs in general are wonderful, and they can really help to move treatments along without needing me as often. It's a daily treatment you're doing at home, so your body will get better faster, and they are very customized. So if we're talking about a UTI, a UTI in Western medicine can show up. You can have symptoms that are a UTI, and you can have symptoms that aren't a UTI. And if you have a positive UTI, please take antibiotics. That is the best course of action. But if you're having UTI symptoms that don't test positive, that is something we can address really well. And that can come from a couple different places. Herbs should be customized to where it's coming from. Again, it's going back to that root, because there's unfortunately not just one reason or one diagnosis. So it takes some close look, which is, it's a little bit different than Western herbs. Western herbs, you can go to the store and buy a single herb, and if you have the correct root, you're going to be able to do it. Chinese herbs don't work that way. They're always in formulas. They're always very specific. And we don't have them in our culture. You know, in China, you can go and buy formulas ready-made that you need. It's not as prevalent here. But it's really a great way for people to address a lot of different aspects. If you're having pelvic pain because of trauma, there are herbs that work on that can help with your emotions, to help unwind that, to help calm your nervous system. And again, it depends where it's coming from for what way you're going to treat it, but it's super helpful.
Is there like a magic cocktail that is just helpful for everyone? Not, maybe because all of our bodies are unique and different, right? So there's nothing that can be a cure-all. But if there was something that you'd recommend that we just take every day just for like general health and maintenance, does that exist?
No, I mean, the short answer is
Magic answer. I know that there's not one.
no. I mean,
Yeah.
the short answer, the long answer, I'm not sure which one this is that food is the best medicine. So if you're going to do something daily at home, the best thing you can do is listen to your body and what it's craving. Sugar's the one exception, because sugar has been so far manipulated from its natural form. Like our sweet foods used to be white rice and pumpkin and sweet potato. And so if you're craving sugar and you ate those are beneficial. Those will help your body. Unfortunately, it's not that way anymore. But if you're craving red meat, you should eat red meat. If you're craving sour candy, like find something that's sour, like lemon juice or vinegar. So trust your body in that. And then eating in accordance to the seasons. So if it's winter's not the best time to be eating a salad. It's not growing. You could eat kale or broccoli. Those grow in the winter, or root vegetables. So just eating with what's seasonal. But for herbs, no, it's
No, I was gonna try to get our secret potion there, but I know.
no. And unfortunately, you can do a lot of damage. You can do a lot of damage with Western herbs. We see that happen, Ephedra. Ephedra is a Chinese herb that we use very specifically in very rare circumstances, that, was used as a weight loss supplement. And now it's banned in the US because people had some serious complications from it. It increases your heart rate. It can lead to some very dire outcomes. So it's not.
It's so important because it goes back to listening to your body. And that's what you just said. Like literally goes back to, what is my body telling me that I need, and doing that. And that goes back to trust, and it goes back to confidence, because your body is going to know what it is that you need to do and what it is that you need. And usually during the winter, like you said, you're not even craving a salad. You're craving those warmer, heartier foods, because it helps to balance those aspects. And that's something they teach in Ayurveda too. It's like, you want to balance yourself and go with, there's a reason why certain foods don't grow in certain places at certain times. And so being as local as we can also is super helpful, because that is where you are and that is likely what you need, unless your body's really telling you something different because of some other imbalance.
Yes, which, I mean, finding things locally can be hard, especially if you're in a food desert or you live in a major city. Knowing what is local and what is seasonal is difficult. So there are food charts you can look up for your region, for what is growing at the time. And then you also, like, on top of overcoming like the listening to your body, you have to listen to go against what society is telling you. It's big push to lose weight, and so you should eat salads. And then we have the keto diet, and we have the Atkins diet, and intermittent fasting. And so there are so many external influences that are telling you not to listen to your body. And instead, if you do this, then you'll be skinnier. And if you're skinnier, you'll be happier. And none of that is true. So it takes a lot of, it's the same as around sex. It takes a lot of overriding everything you've been told your entire life.
Yeah. And we're inundated with like the over processed and like just everything. And I think I saw something the other day that said, our food is so processed or unhealthy that when we eat naturally, it's considered like going on a diet. which was really interesting.
That's
To get,
interesting.
like,
Yeah.
okay, I didn't think that. Maybe so. I got to check myself.
Yeah. And then, gosh, and it's hard. I grew up as an 80s baby with, like my mom would diet and we'd have fat-free cookies and learning that food is food and food is okay and all food is okay is hard for me. I'm not quite there yet. I have a lot of, there's a right way to eat. And fortunately, that fits in with a lot of what the medicine I practice says, but also food is food. And there should be so much less shame around, like, people don't have access to fresh fruits and vegetables. And sometimes, we don't have enough time in a society to cook. We don't have support. We should be living in communities where everybody's helping each other cook. And so, yes, processed food, maybe not the best choice. And also food is food. And so dropping some of those levels of shame around not eating the right food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know that you also help people with acupuncture through your practice. So tell us what acupuncture is and some of the core benefits that you see for your patients.
Yeah. So acupuncture at its base level moves things that are stuck. So when things are stuck, we call it chi. When chi is stuck, it means that either that can lead to muscular issues like having a tight knot in your back, but it can also lead to digestion not working smoothly or your sleep not happening. Stress is a major stopper of chi. Okay, I know I said that there's no magic formula. There is a formula that I often give that helps to move the liver chi, but I cannot, as a responsible practitioner, I can't say you should go get this because it's not right for everyone. But what that formula does is it gets your body moving, and you can get your body moving through exercise, through deep breathing, through sex, laughter. People use alcohol to do it because alcohol does move your chi, but that has negative repercussions. So it's not the best, but it's why people crave a drink after a stressful day. So for here, biggest impact on sex drive is stress and overwhelm and anxiety. And it's your body being stuck in a fight or flight. And when you are in fight or flight, your body's telling you that there's a tiger chasing you and you need to run. And it is impossible to want to have sex or orgasm when your body is telling you that there's a tiger chasing you. So acupuncture is going to help to unwind your nervous system so that it can get into that rest and digest, so that your body can be in a sense of safety and calm, so that those things become appealing. And the nice thing about it is that we don't have to talk about what's going on. I don't have to know what your stress is. If there's trauma, I don't need to know it. It will work without you having to re-traumatize yourself or get too into it. A lot of people choose to talk about stuff. I am very happy to listen and hold space. And some people find it helpful, but it just really teaches your body how to go into that place of calm.
And does hearing about maybe what someone's going through help you be able to pinpoint where to practice or where to like put the needles, or how does that impact the way that you do anything, if at all?
Yeah, I do a little bit of a combination. Acupuncture, the best way to practice is by treating symptoms. So with high blood pressure is a Western diagnosis. For us, there could be 10 different reasons why that's going on. So we're looking at your specific symptoms for what's showing up and treating those. So a lot of it is through talking, and I spend a lot of time with my patients. I also do abdominal diagnosis. There's different regions that are associated with different channel problems. Acupuncture has 12 main channels that we treat. And so by palpating on the abdomen, I can figure out where to treat from there. And then it's nice because then I can check a point, I can hold a point and press on the stomach. And if it has changed, then I know that I'm on the right track and I'll needle there. But it's very feedback based.
Okay, that's helpful. And so I know that we should not be practicing acupuncture on ourselves at home, but like, are there things that we can do? I know you mentioned laughter and hanging out with friends and different things, but how do we integrate this movement of chi on a day-to-day basis when we're feeling stuck?
Yeah. Those lifestyle switches are good, or just having those tools. I personally find it very helpful to write things down, because when I'm feeling stressed, all my resources go out the window. And so if I have a visual reminder, that can help. Acupressure can help. There are points you can press that will help with general body aches, or helping to relieve stress or remove chi. There are these silicone cups that exist now. So cupping is really great for sore muscles, tight backs, things like that. And you can get those for $30 for a set. Everybody should have one at home. They're easy to use and will really help. And getting movement is a big one. And it doesn't have to be exercising. It can be walking, it can be stretching, but that will help reduce a lot of people's issues. We lead a very sedentary life. Our life, we drive everywhere. We sit in an office. We sit when we get home. We're not built to sit. And that's what a lot of our societal structure is.
So this is super helpful, but I want to talk about you now. So we learned about like the work that you do. We dived into some really fun topics, but tell me about your journey to get here where you are today. Did you know that this was the work that you wanted to do?
No, so when I started, I had a general practice. And it was during the pandemic. I realized that most of my time is spent reading books about sex, listening to podcasts about sex, talking about it. I didn't quote unquote lose my virginity until I was 21, which that's an outdated term anyways, because what is virginity? And also, is the only valid sex penis and vagina sex? No. But I was in the one in college who was teaching everyone how to put condoms on and talking about STDs or STIs, and it's been there for a while. And so I realized that I could smush these two very nicely together. I'm not treating any differently, because again, sometimes I'm always treating what the body is showing me, but I am talking about it and I'm asking these questions. And it's not something that I find people ask in Eastern medicine or in Western medicine. I don't think I've ever had an OB ask me how sex is, if it's pleasurable, am I in pain, unless I'm bringing it up. But a lot of people don't know to bring it up. A lot of people don't know that it's not normal to not have pain. So yeah, I just kind of went for it. And it took me some time to get over it. I can talk with other people about sex. I have a hard time talking about my own sex life, and I have a really hard time talking about it in front of men. So I joined a networking group that was full of men, and every week they got to hear me talk about sex, and that really helped me to get over my fears around it.
Yeah, it's really powerful that you were able to overcome a fear like that. How does that feel? Like, do you feel liberated, or what does that feel like to get that off of your chest in a way? Like, there's still stuff, it's a journey.
Yeah.
But like to be able to do that, right? That's a huge deal. That's
yeah.
Be able to open your mouth and like allow your throat chakra to like just like good for you. But like, how does that feel?
I mean, it still makes me want to vomit a lot. It takes some deeper strength. I have to dig deeper for it. But I don't think I've thought about it. And actually I am pretty proud of that. That was a big hurdle for me. And it definitely, just pushing through it helped me to become a better speaker. And I can talk about it pretty freely now. It's pretty good.
That's amazing. So one of the things that you do is help people have a safe space by creating one for all of the patients that walk through your door. And I really admire the work that you do and how much of an advocate you are, and an ally for the LGBTQIA+ community.
Mm-hmm.
So how can we do a better job using the right language, creating safe spaces for that community? Because I think that we don't always do the best job.
Yeah, give yourself grace, because while queer people have always existed, there has always been a need for them to hide themselves. It has never been safe. So it is new for everyone. So, a really easy way is respecting people's pronouns, stating your pronouns and asking someone else what their pronouns are, rather than assuming. And that can be done in an email signature. If you're in an office, put it on your name tag. Just in general, you can introduce yourself. You can say, "Hi, my name is Anna Francis. My pronouns are she, her. What's your name? What are your pronouns?" And then, withholding questions around things is always good too. If someone says my wife, rather than saying like, oh, I didn't realize you were gay, or like, oh, tell me your story behind it. Like, they're just normal people. Just go along with it. It gets tiring to tell your story over and over, or to have to, queer people have to come out every day. Every day they have to come out, because it's not fully accepted. It's not normal yet. So, just pretending like it doesn't, working on having a non-reaction is helpful.
Yeah, I think we don't need to react or respond to everything. We just need to receive and hold space.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, like for ourselves as individuals, that's the most powerful thing that we can receive. It's just a space to be ourselves. And it's one of the most wonderful things that we can give to someone else.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. And then, if you run a business, if you have a website, saying that this is a safe space, or there are, there's certain emblems you can get on your website that say that you work with LGBTQIA folks, that is a signal to other people so that they can have more options for who they're being treated by, or which mechanic they're using, or, the world's not always safe for people who are outside the gender spectrum.
Yeah. So at Confidence Daily, we are all about self-care, self-love. How do you take care of yourself, or sprinkle a little self-care into your routine every day, especially being that you're a medical practitioner? We want to hear all about it.
I am better at I follow about 10% of my own advice, unfortunately. But which I am open and honest about, because I don't want my patients to feel like they have to lead a perfect life. So they get as much grace as anybody else does. So therapy, I have a therapist, and I have a coach, and I work on those deeper emotional issues is my big part of self-care. Getting movement in. I dance. I make sure to do that as often as I can. Getting movement in general, trying to add in those walks on breaks, or, if I'm running a quick errand, is it something that's walkable or not? Being with friends is a big one. Being with my community so that I can feel that sense of safety that community brings is a big one. I don't do a lot of the surface level self-care. I think, women especially are taught like, oh, just take a bubble bath or paint your nails. And like, those are nice. They're nice to have, but they're not true self-care. So finding the deeper ones, the ones that nourish your soul a bit more, are the ones that I try to go for.
I like that. I think the best form of self-care is like, what does my soul need at this moment? My body, like even my body, what does my body need? Like, what do I need right now? But it's from the inside out, right? It can't just be like surface level is good to like kind of distract us, like if we need to just like move on and be able to do things, but like getting to the root again and being able to take care of who we are within, because once we work all of the inner stuff out, it just kind of like things just start happening from there. But we've got to get back to that root, because otherwise we're just treating the symptoms, and like you said, then other things manifest from there.
Yeah and I think women have been done a big disservice when they're being told like the surface level things that you need to do. It's missing a bigger piece, and it's, women think that they're doing self-care when they're getting their nails done, and that is nice, and if you like having your nails done, that is great if that's going to help with your confidence, or you like how it looks, but it's never getting to the deeper stuff.
Asking ourselves and looking within.
Mm-hmm.
Before I let you go, I want to know if you have any final words of wisdom.
That you are worth every bit of pleasure and joy in this world, and really taking time to find what you want and what you need in all aspects of life. That can be with and through sex, and that can be with things that bring you joy, hobbies or activities that you like. You're worth every ounce of it, and give yourself space and time to find those things and do them consistently.
It's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for being on Confidence Conversations, Anna.
Thank you.
Talk soon.